Hi, Kyle Bennett here. This video is going to be about the top 10 myths that theists seem to have about atheists and atheism. And when I was writing them down, I actually came with 16. So, for those of you familiar with computer programming or things like that, we're going to make it hexadecimal so we can still call it a top 10 list. The first myth is that we atheists, we really do want to know Jesus and to believe in God. And it's just not true. I can't speak for all atheists, and throughout the rest of this, I'm going to kind of generalize, and it won't be true for some atheists, and there'll be some for which some of these myths are true. But I'm just speaking for myself and what seems to be common among a lot of the atheists I know. So, if you're an atheist and something I'm generalizing about is wrong for you, don't take it personally. The first myth that we really want to know Jesus and believe in God, and we just don't. We're not sitting around agonizing over, wouldn't it be great to believe this? Wouldn't it be great to know Jesus, to have a personal relationship with God and all that? It just doesn't happen. Of course, there's times when I've thought it sure would be nice if I could not be in opposition to the majority of the society I live in, but that comes from societal pressure, not from any kind of deep longing. The next myth is that atheists, we don't ever experience feelings of awe and wonder from looking at the physical world. The theists, Christians especially, talk a lot about the awe they sense when they see God or speak to God, and that we atheists are missing out on that. I feel a lot of awe when I look at the universe out there, the size of the solar system, the size of our galaxy, just the variety of things we're finding out there. The Galileo probe is around Saturn now, and the things that exist on the moons of Saturn are they're awe-inspiring. Looking at an ant colony and how this organization, this illusion of a central purpose can arise out of the process of natural selection, out of physical rules and laws working together to produce this result. That's awesome. Number 14, we see our criticisms of the Bible as criticisms of God. A lot of theists will ask us, who are we to judge God, and why is it that we think we can judge God by criticizing what's in the Bible? But we don't see it as criticizing God. We see it as criticizing the beliefs and the ideas of the people who wrote the Bible, because we believe that the Bible was written by men. Number 13, our objection to religious proselytizing comes from a fear that you will corrupt our beliefs and make us face our doubts. That's not really it. We, at least myself, I'm pretty confident. I don't have a lot of worry that you're going to come up with some rhetorical flourish that's going to suddenly make me doubt myself. We atheists, we face our doubts all the time. We constantly examine them. And they've stood the test of time with us. And what we really object to is when you theists try to force your beliefs on us through laws, through societal pressure. And that's the part that gets us a little bit angry. Number 12, we reject each and every moral teaching in the Bible. That's simply not true. We reject the basis for that morality that's in the Bible. We reject a lot of the conclusions from it. But the Bible has some good things in it. The Bible has some things that were clearly good when it was written. And those things are still good. But we don't take it lock, stock, and barrel. We pick and choose. We use our own judgment to judge the Bible against what we know to be true and what we know to be good, and to decide what in there is valuable and what is. Number 11, and for those of you counting in hexadecimal, we're on number B right now. We argue with you in order to get you to agree with us or to justify our beliefs. Frankly, we don't care if you agree with us or not. Those of you that are arguing most vehemently against us, we're not going to change your mind. We know that, and we don't really care. We would like to change some people's minds, particularly those people who are listening in on these arguments. I just watched the ABC special with the Rational Response Squad versus Kirk Cameron, and I don't think for a minute that Brian Sapien thought he was going to convince Kirk Cameron of anything. But people in the audience, the people watching on TV, those that are sitting on the fence, they may be convinced. But even more, we argue because that's what we do. That's what rational people do to find the truth, is to test our beliefs against other people's beliefs, to test our logic against other people's logic. And we argue for that purpose, to learn the truth. We argue because it's fun. And sometimes we argue out of frustration. Number 10, our beliefs are inherently pragmatic or emotional, and that telling us about the pragmatic or emotional benefits of belief will change our minds. This is Pascal's wager. Why not believe? Because there's nothing to lose from believing, and if you're wrong, you'll go to hell. But if you believe and you're right, you haven't lost anything. Or if you believe and you're wrong, you haven't lost anything. This is kind of, I've always seen this as something where theists and Christians in particular are asking us to go against those things that they hold to be moral, which is honesty, integrity. At least I hope that's what they hold to be moral. And our beliefs don't come from some pragmatic benefit. If they did, we would never be atheists. It's in this society, it's one of the most impractical belief systems you can have. On the other hand, in society as we'd like to see it, it would be enormously practical benefit. But that's not why we believe it. We believe it's practical because it's right. We don't believe it's right because we think it's practical. And if you were to convince us that we'd feel at peace with the world and peace of mind, and we'd be happy and joyful, and we wouldn't have to worry about dying and all that, it's not going to make us change our minds. We're not going to decide to believe something we don't believe just for the practical benefits. We have more integrity than that, and it's kind of offensive for Christians to ask us to go against integrity and honesty just in order to believe along with you. It's against your beliefs, and you want us to do that. Number 9, what you call logic is the same thing we refer to when we speak of logic. This is a tricky one, because the usual argument goes that your arguments aren't logical just because of what they conclude. But I've never, or rarely, argued with a Christian who doesn't very quickly devolve their argument into faith, into circular reasoning, into pragmatic arguments. It just seems that Christians in particular are just, they don't look at logic the same way we do. It's a different thing to them. It's hard to describe what that really means, but it's some different kind of thing. It's really a question of metaphysics, and metaphysics, for those of you not familiar with philosophical terms, metaphysics is that branch of philosophy that comes before science, before things like evidence and proof. It's the area of philosophy that deals with the nature of reality itself, of what logic is and why it's valid, not with any particular logical argument, but with the kind of the definition of logic. And Christians and atheists just have a fundamentally different metaphysics. Atheists believe that reality is primary, that what's really out there in the real world comes first. Everything has to be judged against that. Christians believe that God is the basis of metaphysics, that God came first, everything has to come from God, and then everything has to be judged against God. And that's really an irreconcilable difference. And it's one that all of this talk of evolution, science, every argument we've ever had cannot get at that metaphysical difference.